all the cryptocurrencies operate on the demand and supply dynamics, all right? If there is no demand, unfortunately, you wouldn't have any kind of supply and hence the value. So when the customers demanded their money back, it's just like a little bank run, if you would like think of it, and they couldn't just make money anymore and they just couldn't afford it. And the guy, he said that he was scared that he either had to commit suicide or he had to be, taken into custody. So he just literally fled the country. But unfortunately, when you think of it, it's an exchange, right? It's a cryptocurrency exchange. And normally it shouldn't have any positions itself. It's a medium of exchange. So it's like a clearing house if you think in terms of stocks or bond trading. But unfortunately, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, there is no regulation whatsoever. And the only regulation that we have on any cryptocurrency is the future contracts that are trading in US. And even they cannot be that regulated because we don't know who regulates the underlying, security, if you would like to call it security. But in my opinion, all of the cryptocurrencies are just a hype, just like the, tulip exchange back in the day in Netherlands. So the only value that they offer is the demand from the investors, nothing else.
So this is what's happened here. There was a run. Why all of a sudden?
Well, what happened is, like a week ago, the Turkish government just released a statement saying that they're going to ban the payments through cryptocurrencies because they cannot see who's paying, who's receiving the payment for all the purposes of tax and other, considerations. They said, until we have something in place, we don't want it, we are not going to allow it. So many of the projects fell down because of this. And on top of that, obviously, some of the investors were really nervous about the outcome and they're like, maybe it's time to cash in, let's get our, profit, take the profit. And then if they ask for their money back and if you cannot afford to pay them back, it can happen in many other schemes, like the Ponzi scheme, right? So you just depend on the other investors to be able to pay the others. But here, I don't know what the investors and the viewers would think about it, but it's like a pyramid scheme here, if you think about it. Any cryptocurrency, if you were one of the first ones, you're going to be a millionaire or billionaire. If you join later, you're going to make a lot of money. And a little bit later, you're going to make decent money. If you're the last one, you're going to lose all your money. That only happens in pyramid schemes. And if there are no more investors in it, then it collapses. It's just like the pyramid scheme, right? Because assume that you just go and buy a flat, buy a house. Even if no one wants to buy it, you can rent it out, right? Assume that you have business, and even if no one wants to buy your stocks, you can still generate profit. But when it comes to cryptocurrency, it's not like that. If no one wants to buy it, the price won't go up. On the contrary, it will go down and it will be, zero almost in terms of value. And obviously that's really scary. And if you think about it, who invested in cryptocurrencies at the beginning and at the end nowadays, like who bought cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, when it was $800 to $1,000, and who bought it when it was $50,000 to $60,000? I can easily tell you that UK, US, and Europe was among the first investors, and now India, Turkey, and Tanzania, who are actually like in dire situation in terms of their economic situation, are investing heavily in cryptocurrencies because they see this as the only hope to make money very quickly. Okay, that's the only reason. They don't even know what cryptocurrencies are basically. I mean, there are indices in my world. I do work with many professional investors as well as my friends, my relatives, etc. Whenever someone who has nothing to do with finance comes to me and asks, "Shall I invest in cryptocurrencies?" I'm like, "Oh my God, it's almost time. It's about time that this is gonna go down."
A couple of questions on that. Number one is, where do you think the lira has gone? You think this guy has just taken it? You think he's spent it already?
That's the problem with cryptocurrencies. Who regulates it? No one. Where is the money? It's in some kind of bank account, right? But all you have is wallets of cryptocurrencies in your account in the exchange, all right? So if you think of it, I would just send you the money. You would just take the money and send it to your bank account, and you will just give me a wallet and some cryptocurrencies in it. And whenever I buy and sell, I'll just tell you, yeah, you bought this many, you know, Bitcoins did these many ripples or whatever, Muhammed coins or Paul coins, okay? Because it's unlimited. The altcoins, the you know, favorite, very famous coins, they're all unlimited number of issues of coins. And who is over there to tell me that I really own this money? You know why we have all these regulations in banking sector? Like why is, you know, New York is a center of, you know, finance, or London is center of finance? Because it's heavily regulated. Because it's about money. You have to regulate it. You cannot just risk people's money saying that, okay, I'm going to send my money to Paul. Who's Paul? He's not regulated. He's going to tell me that, you know, you have this many coins in your wallet. Where's my wallet? Don't worry. It's with me. I guarantee that I'll pay you back. But if you compare it with the Queen's word that, you know, she will pay the bearer the £5 if they just demand it, and, you know, Paul or Muhammad's word, I don't know, like which one we would go for, you see? Or Federal Reserve says, don't worry, I'll just pay for it when you need it if someone else doesn't accept it. It's very simple. Unfortunately, everyone is just taken into the hype in a way that thinking, oh my God, we are in the technology age, everything's going to be electronic. I don't know how many people actually touched their salaries in physical cash in the last couple of years. I haven't. It stays in the bank. I just spend it through my cards or online, you know, shopping, etc. So it's already electronic. And yes, you know, the blockchain technology, it's amazing. It's so fast. You can just send confirmations, send the, you know, documents with it as well. But most probably, in the future, we will have crypto dollars, crypto pounds, crypto euros, and it won't be limited. It won't be fixed amount of, you know, crypto euros. They will still issue new crypto euros, which will mean that money will be more electronic, and maybe all the central banks will come together and say, we will approve the payments globally, rather than 20,000, 2,000 computers around the world, and which we don't know where they are, by the way. If anything happens to these computers suddenly, if there is an organized attack on these computers, you don't have your bitcoins. No one has their bitcoins. And the market value of the bitcoins are now $1 trillion with the, you know, declining price. It's a lot of money. It's so much. It's too much for anyone to risk at any, you know, given point.
Do you feel that there's a lot of people in the media saying that Turkish people were using crypto as a way to hedge against inflation? Is this the
It is superior. It's if you want to hedge against inflation, Turkey, you know, has a trade deficit, which means that they purchase more than they sell, right? So they buy the phones, they buy the cars, they buy the crude oil, energy, etc. So that means their price is literally linked to US dollars. If I wanted to hedge myself against inflation, which is, you know, in line and in high correlation with the dollar Turkish lira parity, I would just go and buy dollars. Why would I just go and buy Bitcoin or whatever, which has nothing to do with inflation? On contrary, again, the volatility of Bitcoin is like 80%. 80%. It's just like, even if you take 1% of Bitcoin in your treasury, your volatility shoots up 8% annually. It's crazy for anyone to think that Bitcoin is hedged for anything, or any cryptocurrency is hedged for anything.
Mm, very good. What do you think is going to happen with this, looking at the kind of politics side of it? Do you think this guy's going to come back? Do you have any idea how this particular case will unfold?
I mean, unfortunately, this is not the first instance in Turkey that someone just said, "Don't worry, guys, I'm gonna make you rich in really short amount of time," and you know, then you couldn't find them. Like there was this guy in the recent years, basically. He said, "You know what? I just set up a farm online." And you're like, "Really? Look, you can just buy a cow for $50, you know, and then we will just sell the milk and the, you know, cheese, etc. Then you will make money." It's literally like Ponzi scheme, all right? But if you were unfortunately stupid enough to believe that you could buy a cow for $50 and you invested your money and then he kept paying $5 every month, you should just ask yourself, like, does that make sense? Am I this smart to make money this easily? Are all the other people stupid? No, what happens is basically, like everything else, every hype in the society, everyone follows something because many thousands are doing that, okay? Many other people are doing that. Like, but if that's your only criteria about investment or something is right or wrong, you see, I mean, I can find 2 billion people in the world thinks that doing A is amazing and you have to do it, and another 2 billion people would think that, oh my God, it's really gross. And you can find it in cultures, in the investment strategies, in everything, whatever you can think of. But that doesn't necessarily make this one or this one right. So unfortunately, the first investors just advertise these kind of investments and say, look, I'm making a lot of money. But unfortunately, again, Ponzi scheme is this. Look, he kept paying me. I'm sure you're going to get your payment as well, right? So if you're the last one, sorry about that, you won't get anything. And the other guys, I think this, they called it the farm bank. Online, you would buy, I don't know, blue eggs or, you know, white eggs or whatever. But the colored eggs costed more than the others. And he's in Argentina or something right now, just spending all the money that he got from the other people. And this is a problem, main problem of emerging markets. Because people are in difficult situation financially, and on top of that, when you have the impact of COVID, people lost their jobs, you know, the country is in difficult situation financially, and suddenly someone comes like a savior and say, look guys, I'm gonna help you make money. It's very easy, you don't even need to do anything, all you need to do is give me your money. But it's very familiar in terms of all the, you know, scams, let's say. So easy money in short amount of time, never good. You should always question that.
That's incredible. Last question is, what do you think the government's main motivation for cracking down on cryptos is? You think they want to protect against speculation? You think they're really afraid people are going to start using it to spend?
I mean, to be honest, I really support the government's decision because, as you know, globally, by the way, this is not only in Turkey, everyone that invests in cryptocurrencies, they don't even know what exactly it is, okay? And as the government, it is your duty to inform people about the risks. And if you cannot stop people buying from or selling from cryptocurrencies, if you can't stop them, you need to regulate it somehow. So they don't want people to lose their money, just like this example, right? Because the country had enough with other stuff, right? Like, you know, you have the tourism going down the hill because of the COVID situation. They couldn't control the COVID pandemic yet in Turkey. It's getting worse and worse day by day. And I don't have to support most of the, you know, policies. I'm not a big, you know, fan of what they always do. But when it comes to this, I think it's the right decision. At least people won't have the luxury to go back to their government and say, guys, you didn't tell us that this was something bad. Like, you should have, you know, warned us. And the government has done that. And for anyone out there who thinks that, you know, cryptocurrencies are the medium for, you know, any criminal activity, they're wrong. The only currency that you have all the movements registered in thousands of computers are cryptocurrencies. The best medium for any kind of criminal activity in the world is called cash US dollars. It's valid everywhere and you cannot track it. So people have wrong, you know, impression of what cryptocurrency is there for and how it is done, etc. If I was any country or any intelligence service, I would have the list of all people who owns them and who paid who at what time for what. Very simple. That would be the last thing to use for any of these activities. So I don't think they're worried about the criminal activity. I think that they're worried about the people's investment, like when people invest their money and then they lose it, just like this case. But again, this decision, I think, government's decision, triggered this collapse. It's a little bit early than it would have been, but at least it's just, you know, fixing some of the misalignments in the cryptocurrency investment environment in Turkey, let's say.
Really interesting. Great perspective. Not the mainstream perspective. I really appreciate a lot of, I think the mainstream reporting around crypto is wrong. You know, it's misinformed. You know, they just pump it up, pump
I
it
mean,
up.
Paul, someone has to say the king is naked, right? If anyone can explain me why this currency or this or that cryptocurrency has any value other than demand and supply, this is a really simple question. If everyone stops buying Bitcoin right now, if no one else buys one more Bitcoin, would the price go up? The answer is very simple, no. And on top of any one single person selling cryptocurrency, the price will come down. So that is literally feeding on the new investors in the cryptocurrencies. The only similar pattern is pyramid scheme, nothing else.